History of Gifted Education Timeline created by Modern Gifted in History. January 1, 1869. Hereditary Genius. Francis Galton publishes the book Hereditary Genius, claiming that intelligence is passed down genetically through generations. He concluded, based on studying over 400 British men from history, that intelligence was derived from heredity and natural selection. August 1, 1869. William Torrey Harris. William Torrey Harris was the superintendent of public schools for Saint Louis and instituted the earliest systematic efforts in public schools to educate gifted students. His radical new system allowed students to advance every 5 weeks based on academic performance. This promotion schedule allowed for rapid movement through the curriculum. August 1, 1901. First School for the Gifted. Worcester, Massachusetts opened the first special school for gifted children, pulling high ability students from throughout the region in grades 7, 8, and 9. January 1, 1905. Binet-Simon Test of Intelligence. Electronic version of Binet and Simon's book on the development of intelligence in children. Two French researchers developed an assessment to measure intelligence as a person's mental age. The intended purpose was to separate below average intelligence children from the general population. These tests are called the Binet-Simon tests. January 1, 1908. IQ test brought to America. Henry Goddard visits France and examines Binet and Simon's intelligence test. He brings it back to America and translates it into English. He also believed that individuals of subnormal intelligence should be sexually sterilized to prevent the spread of low intelligence. The birth of American intelligence testing. January 1, 1916. Lewis Terman. The vexing legacy of Lewis Terman, often called the father of gifted education, publishes the Stanford Binet IQ test in the United States, transforming intelligence testing in the US. January 1, 1921. Longitudinal study of gifted individuals begins. Lewis Terman begins the longest study of gifted children ever undertaken with a sample of 1,500 gifted children. January 1, 1926. Speyer School. Hollingworth establishes PS 500 the Speyer School for gifted children ages 7 to 9. A school opened in 2009 with the goal of recreating the focus of the original Speyer School, accelerated learners. January 1, 1950. National Science Foundation Act. National Science Foundation Act creates fund for math and science education programs, spurring advanced educational options for students across the country. January 1, 1954. NAGC. Anne Isaacs leads the founding of the National Association for Gifted Children, a major leader still today in gifted education. October 4, 1957. Sputnik. The launch of the Russian satellite Sputnik prompts the United States to pour massive amounts of money into the identification and education of gifted and talented learners in math, science, and technology. September 2, 1958. National Defense Education Act. In response to the Russian launch of Sputnik, the federal government, led by President Eisenhower, signed into effect the National Defense Education Act, which directed resources funding and attention in part to gifted education. November 29, 1975. Public Law 94 to 142. Public Law 94 142, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, establishes a federal mandate to serve children with special education needs, but does not include children with gifts and talents. April 1, 1983. A Nation at Risk. A Nation at Risk highlights the fact that America's brightest students fail to compete with the brightest in other countries. The report includes policies and practices in gifted education, raising academic standards, and promoting appropriate curriculum for gifted learners. January 1, 1988. Javits Act. Congress passes the Jacob Javits Gifted and Talented Students Education Act as part of the authorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. This is the only federal program dedicated specifically to gifted students. Unfortunately, it does not provide for any funding of gifted programs. October 13, 1993. National Excellence, the Case for Developing America's Talent. National Excellence, the Case for Developing America's Talent, issued by the U.S. Department of Education, outlines how America neglects its most talented youth. The report also makes a number of recommendations influencing the last decade of research in the field of gifted education. January 13, 1998. NAGC Standards for Gifted Education. NAGC publishes pre-K grade to 12 gifted program standards to provide guidance in 7 key areas for programs serving gifted and talented students. The standards were revised in 2010 as pre-K grade 12 gifted programming standards. January 8, 2002. No Child Left Behind. No Child Left Behind is published into law and now includes the Javits Act. It also updates the national definition of gifted children, students, children, or youth who give evidence of high achievement capability in areas such as intellectual, creative, artistic, or leadership capacity, or in specific academic fields and who needs services and activities not ordinarily provided by the school in order to fully develop those capabilities. October 1, 2004. A Nation Deceived. A Nation Deceived: How Schools Hold Back America's Brightest Students. A national research-based report on acceleration strategies for advanced learners is published by the Belin Blanc Center at the University of Iowa.